Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dot to Dot. Today I have two historic movie clips one of Fred Nolan, just after his discovery of Nolan's Cross, and one with Dan Blankenship, who made an important discovery in 2007 on Lot 15. We will also explore the proportions of Nolan's Cross according to Brian Farrow's book, The Secrets of Nolan's Cross. And this is a game changer in how Nolan's Cross functions as the backbone of Oak Island geometry. So let's get to it. Now, according to Brian Farrow, Nolan's Cross was designed using mathematical scale comprised of multiples of 72. Now, these values give sections of Nolan's Cross a unique proportionality. It does make geometric calculations much easier and accurate. However, in the field, the measuring of these sections is a little more complicated. We see the measurements taken by Fred Nolan in 1980, and the sacred number proportion values, they do not match. They're off by 3 to 5 feet. The reason is the size of these large boulders lack a reference point of commencing the measurement. So let's look at this video and I'll make an explanation of why this is going to happen.
Secrets is Fred Nolan, a licensed surveyor from Bedford, Nova Scotia. In the early 1960s, Nolan surveyed the entire island, charting the location of numerous stone markers and monuments. He came to believe that they pointed the way to the treasure, if only they could be deciphered. In 1963, Fred Nolan purchased several lots on the north side of the island, overlooking Judry's Cove. Ever since, he and occasional helpers have puzzled over the signs and symbols of Oak Island.
It's been a long time. I don't like talking about all the years that we put in here, but well over 30 years now. But the longer we stay at it, the more of the pieces of this puzzle that we're able to gather up and put in place. I can say this: we're closer now than we've ever been. We're coming down the stretch now.
Fred Nolan's optimism springs in part from a recent discovery that may help solve the Oak Island mystery. He has found 5 nearly identical cone-shaped boulders on his property. They form an extraordinary landmark, a giant, perfectly proportioned cross. Its arms extend from the interior of the island to the beach at Judry's Cove.
There's the big fella there. It's part of the cross there. This is just the north end of it, the cross. It's on the beach, and it has the same conical shape that the other has, you can see.
The rock's distinctive shape is readily apparent when seen from the shore. The other boulders must be picked out of the underbrush.
Be able to see the conical shape of it as we approach it. Now this is a huge rock, and you can see the shape. Very important rock too, by the way. Well, the fact that it's part of the cross so it sort of makes it important. Like everybody else, we've walked by them for many, many years without giving them any thought, because they're all separated so far apart in thick brush that it's hard to relate one to the other, until we started to see we started to zero in on their shape and the measurements.
Nolan believes that the dimensions of the cross are clear evidence of planning, not happenstance. Each arm is precisely 360 feet long. The distance from here to here is doubled here and tripled here. The body and arms cross at exactly 90 degrees, yet nothing had been placed at the intersection of the two lines, or so it seemed. Nolan excavated at the spot and found this slab of rock 1 foot under the surface. Some say it has the profile of a human skull, the perfect marker for a buried treasure.
That's what one would think right off, but then, of course, this island plays tricks on you, and these, that's, we have moved a drill into this site, and we decided to probe a bit in the ground where the cross lines met.
Nolan drilled several test borings into the site. No treasure waited under Skull Rock, and the ultimate significance of the giant cross is yet to be revealed.
Now, as you saw in the movie clip, I added some notes to the sizes of cones C and D, and they're about 6 to 8 feet in diameter. So let's examine the sizes of the other points. So the headstone is about probably 4 to 5 feet. Cone E, estimated 5 to 6 feet. Cone B, probably about the same size, a little smaller, 5 feet. And cone A, maybe 7 feet, maybe more, 7 feet tall. But also, as you saw in the movie clip, proportionality was known to Fred Nolan early on. He just didn't have the right numbers. So let's look at this proportionality in detail. So if we start with 144 as the first factor, all the other numbers in Nolan's cross are multiples of 144. Except when we get to 360, it's 2.5 times 144. However, it is half of 720. Now, all the numbers are multiples of 72. But we asked the question, why were these proportions and these numbers selected? Well, I believe it's in their mathematical properties and convenience in triangulation. So we're going to look at an example of geometric alignment that was investigated on Oak Island, the alignment between cone C and cone A, and the drilled rocks on lot 12 and 15. So if we triangulate cone C to cone A with a right angle at the headstone using 360 and 144, we get an angle of 21.8 degrees. Now, using that same angle and the similar triangle theorem, we will triangulate 90 degrees from cone B using 720. Notice the calculated side, A, is 288. This is the same distance from cone E to cone D. Now, if we drop down to what we call the south anchor, 360 from cone B, and go 90 degrees, the calculation of side A is equal to 432. Now, this is the distance from cone D to the headstone on Nolan's cross. I think it becomes clear that the mathematical properties that were selected for Nolan's cross and the proportions were for convenient design in mathematical calculation. So let's go back to Fred Nolan's measurements, and why didn't they line up with the beautifully designed proportional measurements that Brian Farrow proposes out of the sacred numbers? Well, it's the size of the boulders. They just cannot provide an accurate reference point of where to start. So even though he wasn't that off, it seems like if we found a point that is accurate enough to give us a reference point to get the desired measurements, perhaps this will be the answer. And I think that Dan Blankenship in 2007 found that reference point on lot 15. So let's take a look at this movie clip and I'll show you what I mean.
This past summer, Blankenship was forced to clear-cut a large area on Oak Island because of a beetle infestation. Then, he happened upon some mysterious rocks, which he believes are linked to the island's secrets.
These are some of the monuments, I call them, that we've located when we were clear cutting this area here. And in doing that, we located several of these, what I think are monuments, and they more or less, most of this particular type is triangular shaped, and they're deep, they're in the ground, and they don't move. I'll kick this one just to show you that they're solid, and they go down quite deep. Up over here is another one that I believe matches up with this one here. And we haven't learned the significance of what these markers mean yet, but in time we will.
In 2021, I was watching a drone video going over Oak Island, and I could see this pointed rock on Oak Island. So I zoomed in and took measurements and did a comparison to the Oak Island map position of the North Anchor. And it is astounding that this could possibly be the North Anchor. So is it possible that Nolan's Cross extends out to 1,440 Scottish feet? And now that's another thing, is the Scottish feet come from the Oak Island map 1347, which is in French peds. And when we convert that French peds to Scottish feet, it comes out to exactly 1440. Now, 1440 falls right into the sacred number sequence. It is a part of that progression that goes down from 1440 all the way down to 72. So is it possible that this marker is the North Anchor and that it would be the key to measuring Nolan's Cross?